Finally, my people, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been exposed by a security expert, an African Union security expert. According to this man in this video you're about to watch, he said that Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made a very severe deal with the terrorists in order to become the president. But guess what? He has failed to fulfill this particular deal. And that is why it seems that insecurity has become the order of the day. That is the reason why there is a very high rise in and tension in insecurity in Nigeria. Guys, make I not talk too much. Make una watch the rest of the video.
In order to become the president of Nigeria, nobody can argue there were deals that went on. But what he did was to play them against each other. So that
you are alleging that President Tinubu had a deal with the terrorists.
Excuse me, it is no longer a secret anywhere in the world.
Asking, what exactly are we dealing with? What is even going on?
I want to speak without a shred of doubt right now that what Nigeria is dealing with, it is both an ancient and a modern problem, and it is bigger, including religion, but bigger than religion. This is not an Usman Danfodio narrative. It's a more modern, more deadly, more intelligent Hydra, a supremacist agenda that was perfected by Osama bin Laden when he globalized the global resurgence of religious terrorism. This is not merely a Fulani problem. It's bigger than that. There are at least about 5-6 groups that we are reckoning with. It has a head in education. It has infiltrated our security defense systems. Over the years, it has infiltrated governance. It has infiltrated media.
Okay, so thank you so much, Daddy. But I feel like so far you have been speaking in parables. You are not naming. Okay, so you said 5 different heads. You need to put names. Also, you need to give the evidence of all these things that you are saying.
I told you it's a supremacist agenda that was designed to use Islam as a cover. That's why for the first 15-16 years, it was targeted only at Christians first. I told publicly that in the later years, towards the end, when they're about to strike Nigeria completely, they will start killing Muslims as well. So I said that about 10 years ago. We are dealing with something that is global, but has a local face. Its objective is to take the whole of Nigeria, not some of Nigeria. Now, it's going to use Islam and the Sharia to take Nigeria. All over the world, its tactics are different.
Who is trying to take Nigeria?
Now, let me put it for you like this. The architecture for the intelligence behind this thing is more than the local intelligence. But they have contacted local actors. You see, there's what they call the ISWAP. The Fulani is there. Then you have the Kanuri-dominated Boko Haram. Then you have Lakurawa, Ansaru, and all those other offshoots of the global template provided by Al-Qaeda. Many headed, only one hat. And what the idea is to take Nigeria, take West Africa, take the rest of Africa, and then use that resources to dominate the world.
Okay, so it's Al-Qaeda that is trying to take over Nigeria through these different terrorist organizations.
An intelligence created by Al-Qaeda between 1991 and 1996, Osama bin Laden was in Sudan, perfecting the model of how to globalize terrorism and rule the world with Sharia. And he knew they would have to kill Muslims as well. So what we're dealing with is bigger than just a religious problem. It's a supremacist agenda covering its face with Islamic religion.
So for people that may be watching right now, some of them will say we've been hearing about things like this for a long time. Where is the actual evidence? Like what you said bin Laden drafted in Sudan. Is there a record of it somewhere? Like some people would say, where is the evidence to the things that you're saying?
Okay, one of the greatest weaknesses of the African nations of the world, including Nigeria, is the inability to mathematize inquiry. That is to collect statistics and data, crunch it, and then do what they call concatenation. That is to join all the dots and use that to come to a conclusion and predict things that when they happen, you will not be surprised. If you follow the media in Nigeria over the past 20-something years, there's nothing I have said beforehand that did not come to pass, including when the color of the terrorist, the color scheme of the terrorist is going to change in the latter hours, when they are bringing in people from the Maghreb and they're bringing in other people from outside of our borders. So if you want evidence, I will give you some. Number one, let me give you something very simple. There's no place in the world that has responded to an already documented resurgence of global Islamism by claiming to arrest terrorists, and then you claim that you have de-radicalized them, and then you absorb them into the Nigerian army. You see, that one alone is an amazing case of stupidity. I've never heard of this kind of madness before. An armed robber comes to your house, you arrest him, instead of prosecuting him, you claim that you have changed his mind, and you now make him join your megadis. That is, of course, one. Number two, if we correlate, I can tell you from the beginning, one of the things I discovered from the year 1999 to 2000 was government complicity. And why do I say so? We have reached a signal where we are not afraid of anything anymore. In those days, we were more afraid of the enemy within than the enemy without. So today, there can be documents that I will give you, will put on display. When you find out that young girls are kidnapped, married off, taken away from their husbands, I mean, sometimes young girls are kidnapped, sometimes wives are kidnapped, married off Islamically, and you will see that if someone will come, the governors were aware. I can give you a case where we had to curb a terrorist attack in Kaduna State. We could tell you the modus operandi. It started with Gumi when he came back from Mecca, when he came back from Saudi Arabia. His first tafsir in Kaduna was a call to violence, to slaughter. The VHS came to me because we have been setting up early warning systems, and this is what a real early warning system is to prevent something. When we got it, we translated it into English, and at that time it was Obasanjo who was the president of Nigeria. Thank God for the first square general overseer, who is now Wilson Badijo, who assured me that what we prepared and gave to him was given to Obasanjo in his bedroom. But what they didn't know was that we were still monitoring Kaduna to see whether the arms build-up towards the execution was going to stop. When we saw that it was not going to stop, in fact, this is a good example I'm giving you. I had to call a special strategic session with media, because media is a force expander in this new war form, this Hydra-headed war form. At that time, the man they call Additional, who became Buhari's media, whatever, was at that time an editor-in-chief or something in one of the newspapers. They gathered together, and I told them, this is a problem. They are about to kill 600 to 900 people. Femi Additional. They are about to kill 600 to 900 people in Kaduna. And I said to them, we have sent all the information to the army, to all the places. There's nobody stopping them. Unknown to them, we were monitoring. The Gumi boy went into the SSS office in Kaduna laughing and came out laughing. When I got that report in Lagos, we decided to call this media meeting and said, look, how do we solve this? Now, there's a headline that we have to put up, where they did as if they interviewed the head of CAN and had to interview Gumi. Immediately, we took the front pages, the full pages in the newspapers and the new media, and the news blew across the world. The queries came to the president of Nigeria. It was reported to me directly that the Gumi boy entered, then was a small boy, he entered the SSS office. This time he didn't come out laughing. He left the country immediately. Now, this is a guy who has been banned by Saudi Arabia. They didn't allow him to enter Saudi Arabia. Let me give you another proof. I was on television when I found out there was no other way of escape. When an Al-Qaeda operative was already appointed as a federal minister in Buhari's government. And I questioned,
do you mind naming that minister?
What's his name? Something, Issa Pantami. How do I know? I supervised an evacuation in 2004 when the young Christian was slaughtered in the mosque of ATBU. That's Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. Okay? Now, when we supervised that, it was this Pantami, who was a lecturer in that university at that time, who put a fatwa on certain students because they preached the gospel to Muslims in a university. And at that time, when they killed that boy, we had to go and evacuate the others whose names I spoke to them recently. They are still afraid till now. The young guys brought them into Lagos. We made arrangements to take them into other countries where there's better respect for human worth. And then Sunday Achi was the name of the student who was murdered. Okay? At that time, for you to know how this thing works, there was a bishop who was working with the Obasanjo government, who went to arrange for the burial of this boy. And when I said, let us make it an issue, they at that time were cooperating because they didn't realize how dangerous this Hydra is. Later, that Hydra attacked that bishop, almost killed him, finished his secretary. Fortunately, they couldn't catch his wife. They maimed him. And today, he's one of the forefront advocates who has realized how dangerous this thing is. I could easily give you many more examples. One of the former head of states, who was claiming that there was nothing in his time, I was at a meeting with him in his home in Ota. When he gave me his own version of what he believed was going on, I said to him, sir, during your government, they were already building up more and more, infiltrating more and more. I said, do you remember a meeting you went to have in Northern Nigeria when these things happened? When you left, they slaughtered every member of the family that entertained you. I said they were sending you a warning to back off. Now, some years later, he went for a security mission outside Nigeria, and I think when they showed him the build-up of what is coming into Nigeria when the final phase comes. Look, the Nigerian army in totality, everybody knows what the number is. The last time they engaged the BH on 3 war fronts, it took almost 2.5 weeks to overcome. So everybody realizes that if you think the Nigerian army can withstand a combined forces of what ISWAP has planned in the future, what is working for us right now is very simple. Nigeria is 220 million people strong. The number of all these people who want to swallow Nigeria, they're not even up to 450,000. Now, the strength of this is, let me break one nonsense that is going on around. And this is what we have to be careful to counsel the US government about. Anybody who looks and thinks that the Fulani is a primary problem is a joker. The Fulani is not the primary problem. All the combined forces of all these people is not up to 400 and something million. Now, is it this ill-educated...
400 something thousand.
Yes. All these ill-educated, all these, what can I say, anachronistic human beings who are wearing loincloths all over the whole place, do you think that they are the real problem? Listen, the Fulanis have told you that they were busy using their six when people came and gave them AK-47s and took their children to go and train. Why don't we realize that it's the intelligence that is arranging logistics, that is arranging safe passage for them? I have boys in the army. We used to pray for them. When they locate the enemy position in the Nigerian army, a signal comes from Abuja that they should not attack. The signal will be delayed. After 3 hours, they tell them, now go. The Boko Haram will have left that place.
So, what more proof are you saying that the Nigerian government is involved in what is...
What are you saying? Even Jonathan, before he left, openly said they are in my cabinet. Look, this thing has been known to collapse nations from within. So there's nothing new about what is going on in Nigeria. It's just like the architecture of... I would rather speak to the younger generation, the digital generation who understand programming. Because it looks as if the older generation don't have what it takes, don't have the understanding to acknowledge that there's a problem here. And let us come squarely. My eyes are on the president of Nigeria. It needs to be careful. Yes. Listen to me. I have nothing against him personally, but I can tell you something that is very, very clear to anybody. Now, he is an astute, consummate politician, but he doesn't realize that there's a global problem that he's dealing with. In order to become the president of Nigeria, nobody can argue there were deals that went on. And in essence, what he did was that he, more than anybody else, realized that there are many factors to the Hydra. In terms of the kinetics, apart from the Fulani, the Boko Haram, the ISWAP controlled Ansar, Lakurawa and Co. And what he did was to play them against each other. So that... Yeah, you are alleging
that President Tinubu had a deal with the terrorists?
Excuse me, whether we like it or not, it is no longer a secret anywhere in the world that...
So, but what's the evidence? Some people will say that...
Okay, let me give you talk. Let me throw you one quickly. People don't realize that the Mandela bombing in Niger State, the Catholic church that was bombed in Niger State, the fellow who headed it actually was in Lagos, in Snake Island. 2 days, 3 days, and then traveled to northern Nigeria to take his team to execute. What does that tell you? Now, when he got into police custody, he was arrested and he miraculously escaped. When he escaped miraculously, where was he arrested? Where did he take up refuge? He took up refuge in the lodge of a serving high-placed government official from Borno State, who happens to now be who? The Vice President of Nigeria. So what am I talking about here? Tinubu is one heartbeat away. You see, I feel sorry for him. In a way, we need to protect President Tinubu's life. He may think he has the guts to face this people, but I can tell you something, he has totally misread the size of the problem in which he has gone to double his hands.
Okay, so you said a lot of things. These are serious allegations.
Please, don't even bother. I'm the one talking. Listen, yes. We are the circumcision. We worship God in the spirit. We rejoice in Christ Jesus and we have no confidence in the flesh. I'm a statesman. We worry about the generations to come. I'm not worried about the next election. There's nothing I'm saying that cannot be substantiated, not only within Nigeria, but globally. So let nobody deceive themselves. His so-called... Look, why do you think the federal government is trying to deny an evident truth? And all these people who have collected 30 pieces of silver, all these people speaking from two sides of the mouth, who are just shifting positions like the mendacious president that we have, why do you think they are going on like that? Because there's a plan. If this intervention had not come, and the president was allowed to go through his 8 years, who will he hand over the country to? And does he think they are not wise enough to know that if they are able to eliminate him, into whose hands does the country go? Now, this is where the problem is. If the country goes into the hand of the Boko Haram, the Fulani will not be happy. Those who are... Look, let me give you a good example. An open secret. Why is Shekau...
Are you saying that the country will go into the hand of Boko Haram after Tinubu?
Please. If you remember very well, just after he came in, there was some kidnappings, some bombings, and then there was an outrageous demand for one impossible, I can't remember, was it 20 billion or something, impossible amount of money. When that demand was made, it was not really because they felt that kind of money would be paid. It was a direct message, a coded message to the presidency. Everybody is aware now that there was complicity in the times of in terms of the former president Muhammad Buhari. Like I mentioned Issa Pantami. Also, don't forget about that his interesting governor who turned against Buhari in the last minute, who was persuaded to turn against Buhari, the worst governor Kaduna State has ever had. And I said something when Kaduna State was...
Governor El-Rufai?
Yes. Look, let's not even go there. Go and look at his tweets in the earlier years. Go and look at his own open admission on television that he left Nigeria to neighboring countries with money to go and sponsor the terrorists who had come to kill in Nigerian territory. Why did they have that kind of confidence then? Was because they knew they had entered governance. Now, as I'm speaking right now, listen, we need to reformat this country. And there's an opportunity that has come right now that if we mismanage this opportunity, let me tell you something, even God in heaven will look away. When in the south part of Nigeria, in the eastern part of Nigeria, 13-year-old girls end up being raped. Look, there was a blogger recently who was being political, and I want to tell everybody prophetically right now what is coming up for those who refuse to face truth, those who refuse to give value to the lives of others. The young blogger recently said that there's no genocide, I'm a Christian, I don't feel threatened, long live P-Bat. She was one of those who was killed. If the account that is coming is right, in Kwara State, in a church attack. Oh, she thought it was far away. Now, this is the fate, sadly.
Now, by opportunity, you're talking about Trump saying that he would interfere with what is happening in Nigeria.
Well, I prefer the word intervention, and let me put it for you like this. For any godly-minded person, the declaration of Nigeria as a country, a CPC, that designation, yes, that designation is a human designation. What we should worry about is that God in heaven himself had already declared Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Listen, according to prophecy, Nigeria is supposed to be the trigger of a global move of revival. Then the other side too decided that Nigeria must become the epicenter of the next greatest satanic attack against the entire world. So the destiny of Nigeria is what we're fighting for. Look, the corruption in Nigeria, I gave an interview when President Tinubu entered, and I did remember saying that it will not be an honor for anybody to serve in this dispensation. After the negotiation, he bought. Look, the mantra of this government is this: whatever problem money cannot solve will be solved by more money. Not realizing that there's a hyper-dimensional problem, a problem bigger than money. Look, let me tell you something, the mistake that he's making. The whole Nigerian budget, when you look at it every year, all said and done, comes to how much? Maybe about $30 billion. How much does the diaspora remit to Nigeria every year?
$20 billion. Yes,
so,
sir.
When you hear Nigerians, you see, when poverty has been weaponized against a nation, people cannot think anymore. The older generation have been reduced by the weaponization of poverty. So look, thinking is an expensive thing. So it's not easy. Don't blame the average Nigerian.
Okay.
People are susceptible to money.
So, Manny, before we round up, you've said a lot of things. Are these things that you can defend, like the allegations of the president, the vice president being part of, the
Boko Haram? In whose house was Kabiru Sokoto? In whose home was Kabiru Sokoto hiding before it was picked up? Please, if not for global interference in Nigerian affairs, we are ready 90-something% to the day of doom. So if we like, let us miss this opportunity. All those talking from the same different sides of the mouth, they will soon know what it is.
So exactly what do you want the US to do?
Very simple. There are 4 sets of people who are talking to us in the US. Number 1, those who are genuinely concerned. Right? Number 2, we have those who are looking for government appointments. Number 3,
in the US, looking for government appointments in Nigeria.
Government appointments in the US. They are careerists.
Trump's administration.
Then there are those who know that money, US dollars, follows policy. So if not for Trump, they will not be speaking up. They are there. And then there's a last set of zealots who are so zealous that they reject God's wisdom. Those ones are what we call sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. They are equally as dangerous. So this is what I want us to do. If Nigeria cooperates properly with the window that God has used Trump to open, there's something that I cannot talk about in detail now. It's called the flight of 2 eagles. There's a bald eagle in that vision that can rescue the green eagle. Now, if we are able to eliminate the unnecessary voices that are fouling the waters in America for us, both within those against us and those for us, and remain only the voices that are looking forward to the future of Nigeria, let me tell you what will come out of it. Number 1, Nigeria will become a nation. Watch this, where the value of life will be something else. We will leap for quantum leap to the forefront of global civilization, all within 4 to 8 years. Number 2, the Nigerian foreign exchange right now that is about 1,600 naira to the dollar can be brought down to at least 1 to 250 to 350 naira to the dollar if we cooperate properly with understanding to tailor the American response in a way that will be profitable to the global community.
So have you discussed any of this with the Nigerian government? Have you presented
a government that is busy denying? Listen, the moment the Nigerian government is ready, even for President Tinubu, there's a way of escape for him. I fear for his life. If you do a proper concatenation and look at the analysis of what's on the table and the way these things are going, he can't trust anybody around him because there's an option open to them, which he's aware of. Okay, but Nigeria cannot afford that option.
What's
So,
the option?
well, the point is this: if he cooperates with us, we have been studying this thing, we have been watching over this. We will create a Nigeria where no Muslim, no Christian is oppressed. Now, let me tell you this: when the generation of Awolowo and Zik and Co, when they got independence from Nigeria, Pax Britannica did not allow us to lay a firm foundation for a prosperous country. The divide and rule included religion. Now, this opportunistic hydra created by Osama bin Laden is using that opportunity. Now, if only Tinubu will cooperate, I will tell him that the first friend of Nigeria in America, first of all, the olden days, was a man called Frank Wolf. Next is Chris Smith, Congressman Chris Smith. After him, we want to thank people like Louis Gohmert, we want to thank people like Ted Budd, Peter Ricketts, we want to thank people like Josh Hawley, we want to thank people like James Langford, then Ted Cruz. But most of all, this is better than any Nobel Peace Prize. We need to thank God for the two tweets that Donald Trump.
So, but since Trump said that he was going to get involved, the killing has actually gotten worse, and the government is not doing anything really.
Well, that needed to happen to prove to the Nigerian that the government is so compromised, it does not care about your life. All it cares about is to win the next election, which will be the last election that is really democratic in Nigeria.
This is a lot for people to digest. In the course of this half hour, you have implicated the president, the vice president, the entire cabinet. The military is compromised. A lot of these things, like the military being compromised and so on, people know. You've talked about rror, you've talked about Sheikh Gumi, the minister that you mentioned, Issa Pantami.
What does he want to respond? His articles were on the Al-Qaeda website, globally exposed in France, everywhere. All the intel that has been given to Nigeria from foreign nations has been neutralized by the Nigerian government all these years. Who can deny that?
I'm really hoping that the Nigerian government will respond. I'm really hoping that they would respond to this.
We have gone past that level. Where we are now is how do we save Nigeria? How do we salvage the nation? How do we create a future for all our children across the entire nation? Don't let the blood of the people who have been slaughtered through the years, past more than 20-something years, we should not let their bloodshed be in vain. Unmerited suffering is often redemptive, and that's the way we should go now.
Any particular insecurity or a strike that have lasted for more than 24 hours and are still coming, carrying out the activities, going back safely without any, any kind of a counter by the Nigerian police or military, automatically it is government sponsored. You see all this by Tinubu and others, all the Nigerian government, they are fully aware of the people who are committing these terrifying acts in Nigeria as a whole. And that is why they are not even willing enough. Who is the person that normally give information to these guys? Who asked Nigerian military to retreat? The people that were guarding that particular school, they asked them to retreat. And in less than 40 minutes that this military retreated from that particular school, this terrorists, they strike and abduct almost 300 and something students, including teachers. That is to tell you, Nigerian government under the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is evil. Evil!